The Championship football club Sheffield Wednesday has been placed in administration.
After it was revealed HMRC was set to issue a winding up petition.
It means that the administrators now take control of the
club. The
club
club is facing a £1 million tax bill.
It means that the Dejphon Chansiri era is going to be over.
Multiple financial breaches during that time, including failing to pay players and staff.
Seats bearing his name removed from the North Stand at Hillsborough.
Over the moon. I'm really glad he's gone.
This needed to happen. Couldn't keep going on the way we were going on.
I've shed a few tears, and I'm not afraid to admit that either, but it does feel like we've got a football club.
The message to the fans is get back on board now. We've seen boycotts, we've seen them stay away.
And the fans have massively ramped up the pressure.
Can get a new start, get new owners in, make a start from scratch again.
We have to be a new Sheffield Wednesday with an old heart.
You're everywhere and nowhere, babe.
The great city of steel is overcome in a delirium of joy.
The Sheffield Wednesday side, they are performers of some pedigree, don't worry about that.
Big chance for David Hurd. Wednesday in front.
Yeah.
Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, it's goal!
Utterly ridiculous.
Very, very sorry for Sheffield Wednesday fans.
It's been a real roller coaster, lots of ups and a few downs as well.
We were 4-0 down against Peterborough, we're down and out, and now look at us, we're going to the Championship.
And Hillsborough is absolutely rocking.
How confident are you a new buyer can be found?
What, in a club like this, as close to certain as you can be?
I think the fans weren't treated the way they deserve to be. We're here to do the fans right.
In 2025, Sheffield Wednesday found their silver lining, but for so long at this club, they feared the very worst. In the last months of Dejphon Chansiri's reign as owner, the debts piled up and there were long delays to wages. At times there was the threat this club would fall out of existence. Administration brought a new start, but Wednesday still face a long road back from here. In this programme, we'll speak to players, to fans and to experts about how this turbulent period felt inside the club and whether more teams could be next. For Wednesday, financial problems go back many years, even decades. They were relegated from the top flight in the year 2000, but in March 2015, they felt there was hope.
Yes, Sheffield Wednesday have entered a new era now that the takeover of the club has been completed by investors from Thailand. Today, they said they want to see the Owls in the Premier League in just 2 years' time.
Dejphon Chansiri is a multi-millionaire businessman, and his translator today confirmed that he'd invested £37 million to buy the club from former owner Milan Mandaric.
I see the huge importance of this club, not just for Sheffield, but within the whole football family. I intend to respect the wonderfully rich heritage the club and its supporters are rightly proud of.
How does it feel watching that?
It actually really gripped my heart, because I remember watching that and I remember thinking, this could be the start of something good, this.
I am looking forward to the challenges ahead and believe that together we can achieve great success.
Did Mandaric write that for you, and that's what he said people of Sheffield would want you to listen to? Because nothing that interpreter said was anything that he followed through with at all.
Milan Mandaric, the man who sold Wednesday to Chansiri, passed away in October 2025. A few months before his death, he spoke to BBC Radio Sheffield.
Did you believe when you sold the club to Dejphon Chansiri that this was the start of a new era?
Absolutely. He gave me all commitments in the world, that he's got money, he's got desire. I did the same thing with Leicester City, and the Vishai, who unfortunately is not there anymore, he did continue everything what we agreed, and he took the club to as high level as he could. I had a similar feeling from Mr. Chansiri when I sold him the club, but we all know what happened. He took the wrong direction, and who is suffering the most, those are loyal supporters.
Take care of our club and give supporters many smiles on their faces.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Dejphon Chansiri is part of the family that owns the Thai Union Group, the largest global producer of canned tuna. In 2015, according to Forbes, the family was worth more than £400 million. They weren't the first investors from Thailand to enter English football. The country's former Prime Minister, Thaksin Shinawatra, briefly owned Manchester City. While in 2010, Mandarik sold Leicester City to Vijay Sriwadanaprabha, the nation's fifth richest person, who brought the club that unlikely league title. Football influence from East and Southeast Asia was growing at that point. Malaysian billionaire Vincent Tan bought Cardiff City, also in 2010. The following year, Tony Fernandes, another Malaysian, took over then Premier League side Queen's Park Rangers. Later in the decade, more Chinese investors bought clubs here, with Aston Villa, West Bromwich Albion and Reading among those who got new owners. Of those, the Fossen Group at Wolves are the only Chinese owners still in place in English football.
In the 2010s, there was this notion of emerging economies, and I think the people who had been successful in these economies had started businesses in other industrial sectors and felt confident that they could take on other investments and manage other organisations. But the deeper we got into the decade, there was a growing level of maturity in these former emerging economies that meant that people were more considered and more experienced. There is a realisation now that running a football club is no guarantee of financial success, and it's actually quite difficult.
Why would someone like Chansiri want to buy a championship football club?
We'd have to ask him directly why he wanted to buy a football club firstly, and why he wanted to buy Sheffield Wednesday secondly. So I think there's a level of vanity purchasing in that. He was looking at a football club that he could invest in and that he could take to the Premier League. He leaves the family business, the Thai Union Group of Fisheries. He buys this iconic football club and he's able to put them into the Premier League. I think that is really prestigious for both him and his family, and would have probably taken him up almost into the aristocracy, if you like, of Thailand.
In his first full season, Chansiri hits the market. Across both transfer windows, 19 players joined the club on either loan or permanent deals.
To be quite honest, I think he was bad advised, because he seemed to be throwing money at players what were injured. But I still go back to 2016. That could have been the turning point.
Welcome to the new Barrack Tavern here in Hillsborough. What a weekend in store for Sheffield Wednesday.
The way we played this season, we've really turned up for the big games, and we've 40,000 Wednesday fans behind him tomorrow. I think we'll do it.
The new owner, of course, said he wanted to be in the Premier League by 2017, and the new coach, Carlos Caballero, has only actually been here, less than a year. So you could say they're the dynamic duo.
Now Diame wants to hit it. Brilliant! To the top corner! Hull City are making an immediate return to the Premier League, and Sheffield Wednesday are down on their feet.
One goal that could have turned it all round.
You get goosebumps thinking about it. We were that close to Premier League, and then next time we end up at Wembley, it's to get back in Championship.
Would have been transformative for Sheffield Wednesday, would have been transformative for the city of Sheffield, but alas, it wasn't to be.
Even coming out, I remember leaving the match with a sense of pride over what had been achieved. The style of football was something I'd never seen at Sheffield Wednesday before, the systems, the shape. So I remember feeling very proud leaving Wembley and thinking, yeah, there is a chance here of rebuilding and becoming stronger next season and maybe finally reaching the Premier League.
In those first seasons under Chansiri, Wednesday bet the house on promotion. One of those signings in his first summer as owner was a young midfielder from Crystal Palace. Over the next decade, Barry Bannon would become one of this club's modern icons, sticking with them through relegation to the third tier and even through a summer where his wages went unpaid. But during administration, he was sold to Millwall for an undisclosed fee. A few months before that move, we sat down with him to reflect on 10 years with the club that became his home.
When I come in this city, if I pop out for a coffee after training, if I get time, there's always people that want to speak to me, who recognise me obviously as well, and that's way more than money for me. I've always been a kid that's been brought up with nothing, so it was never really about money. For me, it was always about my love of the game. I supported Celtic, who had an amazing fan base, so when I came here and got that love that I used to give to them Celtic players when I was growing up, that's why I wanted to be in football.
Thank you.
I'm so lucky that I've had that here, and I think that I'll be able to come back here in 20, 30 years and no doubt they'll always look after me when I come to this city or I come to the games. That means more to me than anything. I always wanted to remember to football when I finish.
After that playoff final, Wednesday went again, finishing in the top 6 the following season, but they lost to Huddersfield in the semi-finals. In December 2017, Carlos Carvajal was sacked, with Wednesday 15th in the championship. The cracks in Chansiri's ownership were now starting to show. Under pressure from fans, he released a lengthy statement saying, "If anyone has anything to say, just say the truth. Do not try and damage people without the truth. For example, if I said every day that someone has a second wife or second husband, and I keep saying it, would that person like it? If today some of our fans do not believe or do not trust me anymore, they should let me know, because there is no point in me being here away from my family, even though Sheffield Wednesday is in my blood and Hillsborough is like my second home."
When I started to feel like things were not going well was probably midway through the 3rd season of Chansiri's reign. It wasn't so much that the results were starting to dip, it was more the interplay of the obvious financial distress that the club was starting to come under in terms of the spending in the first 2 seasons was quite clearly unsustainable. The fact that the owner in his public statements didn't seem to be taking that financial position seriously, despite those warm words in that opening press conference about having respect for the heritage of the football club, that was quite clearly not something that he had. And I don't think he ever understood English football. I think it was just a gamble, pure and simple.
It didn't appear to be strategic, it was very short term, so bringing players in on significant wages that were at the wrong end of their careers as well. So lots of money going out, nothing really coming in, and in many ways that first 3 years is what set up what we then saw in the last 7 or 8.
And the branding around Hillsborough at that point, it's not the Thai Union Group, it's actually Chansiri. So what was going on there?
So I think that was really something to get around financial fair play. I think they had a sponsorship deal that they were due to sign, but it wasn't worth enough in his view. So Chansiri took front of shirt sponsor, and all of those things were effectively coming from his wealth. It was a catastrophic failure on a financial basis for him personally as well.
From what I was told, he was never very good at accepting any advice from anybody. There was never any sales. There was just spending all the time. It never really made much sense.
At this point, Chansiri's relationship with supporters was slowly breaking down. That started to accelerate in the spring of 2019. Sheffield United had just been promoted, and in a statement, Chansiri said, "I would like to offer the warm congratulations of everyone at Sheffield Wednesday to everyone at our neighbours, Sheffield United, for their achievement of promotion. We may be rivals, but we are friends of the same city."
There were people within the club, outside of the club linked to Sheffield Wednesday who were giving him advice, and fundamentally he chose not to listen. So the failures fall entirely and squarely on his shoulders.
Right, let's move on to sport now. Sheffield Wednesday hasn't paid its players. The club has confirmed what it calls a temporary issue.
This is not the first time late payments to players have been made. There was also the small matter back in October 2023 of him asking fans to help raise £2 million to cover a bill to HM Revenue and Customs, in other words, the taxman.
March 2025 is pivotal because I think that's when the dam that had been holding back the anger in the fan base to a certain extent broke. By May 2025, when he missed payments again, this time of non-playing club staff, that's when the anger definitely swelled.
The club staff at Hillsborough were paid 2 weeks late for May and 16 days late for June. Some of them were on the minimum wage. At that point, one employee said in a letter to the BBC, "We often find things out, such as the club not being able to provide full payment of our wages, through social media, and we're never informed by management." In all, there were delays in 5 of the 7 months between March and October. In some of those months, the players refused to take their wages until the staff were paid too.
You kind of then create a tighter bond and like a siege mentality. So it does bring everybody together because Not only are the players making sacrifices by staying, but all these other staff members, the cleaners, were still coming in and doing their jobs when they easily could have down tools and not come in.
I know a story of one lad in the worst weather in the world, and I'm not saying that he couldn't afford new shoes, but the weather was terrible one day, and the boots that he put on, the sole fell off on his way into work. And he walked to work with a shoe, with the sole had fell off the boot, and he still walked to work that morning, and yet he weren't being paid. When these people are putting this level into the work, that's not for a job. That's because they care about the club.
For many players, the upheaval was just too much to bear. The squad refused to play a friendly against Burnley in pre-season, and as they'd received payments late for 2 consecutive months, they were entitled to end their contracts. 8 players left the club on a free transfer that summer, including Josh Windass, the previous season's top scorer. Danny Röhl, the coach, also left in July, and Bannon too was out of contract. But as others departed, he chose for now to stay, signing a 1-year extension. He was one of 15 senior players now left at the club.
My decision was solely based on my love for the club, not about teammates that are here, management, chairman, whatever it may be. Mine was solely for the club.
It sounded quite an emotional one as well for you. You talked about your daughter and your family being involved in that decision as well.
She's still at a young age, so she doesn't really know that football you can leave. I think the first time she really learned about it was when Josh left. Josh is obviously a close friend of the family, so when he left, she couldn't really register it, and she was upset then. So then when I told her that I could possibly leave, it was never going to happen.
The problems that summer were the result both of short-term cash shortages and long-term neglect. Structural improvements to the training ground weren't ready in time for pre-season, and one stand at Hillsborough was ruled unsafe for supporters by Sheffield City Council. It seemed at that point it would be closed for the first league games. That was when we met Bill on BBC Breakfast. Bill, your season ticket is in that north stand. You sit in the disabled section. You've been coming to Hillsborough for 79 years. What have they told you about your ticket?
Nothing. I get really low, really down. Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, it's my life. That's all I am, all Wednesday. I have met people who's been going longer. Actually, I met a chap just before Christmas at bus stop. I says, I've been going 79 years this season, next season. And he says, I've been going 90. It was heartbreaking. I was lucky, I was one of the lucky ones, because I got people around me that helped me out. But if stand hadn't been open, I don't know what we'd have done.
The thought of the club going out of existence, which was a real possibility.
It was, yes.
How did that feel?
It might have finished me. It might have finished me.
It affected people's mental health more than anything, because a lot of people that you see on match days rely on the atmosphere that a match day brings. They rely on coming out and meeting the family and friends, and it might be the only day of the week that they leave the house. For them to think that they might not be able to recreate the memories with their children like they've been passed through with generations, it got low. It got really, really low.
You're at a club that you love so much and you see it falling away and you think it deserves a lot more. I just believe it could have been dealt with a lot quicker.
Chancery was said to be holding out for £100 million to sell the club. So when all looked lost, Wednesday's fans came out to protest.
Get for Chancery! Get out of our club!
What he's doing to my club is despicable.
Supporters have made the 170-mile trip from Hillsborough to the Thai embassy in London.
What we're trying to do is put pressure on him from the country's hierarchy.
It's an absolute mess. He cannot show his face in Sheffield again.
In Sheffield Wednesday's case, I am extremely concerned about the current ownership.
Dressed in the Supporters Trust protest colours of black and gold, fans brought banners to make their feelings known.
The mock funeral is to say we want to bury Chancery's ownership of this club.
I'm always
As the season started, the action moved inside the grounds, and in their opener at Leicester, there was one defining image. Wednesday's away end empty for the opening 5 minutes, and when the fans arrived, the game paused to clap them in.
They are coming in and the Leicester fans are applauding the Wednesday fans.
That's brilliant.
Listen to that reception from the Leicester City
There is
fans.
togetherness.
Missing their own matches became a theme of the protest. The less they spent on their club, the more it hit Chansiri's pocket, and the more likely he'd sell up.
We knew that we were asking people to make incredibly painful decisions, and it hurt us to have to ask them. It hurt us that we felt that it was completely necessary.
The boycott reached a climax at the end of October. A 1-0 defeat to Middlesbrough here was watched officially by just 7,000 fans, with the Trust telling those supporters not to buy food or drink from the concourses.
I went to that Middlesbrough game. In the 1867 bar, there was 12 people, and it's usually packed with 150, 200. There was 12.
Yeah, the Middlesbrough game's hard. As I said, this club's known for its fans in Hillsborough, and to go to it and have no fans was really strange. As players, we knew exactly what the fans were doing, and we knew it was nothing against us as a group of players. It was about the chairman.
And amid all of those challenges, you have been a really eloquent spokesperson in this squad. How have you found that as a challenge in this part of your career?
It's difficult to speak about it, obviously, because the chairman who was here previously, we had a good relationship up until the very end. We never fell out, but we just kind of drifted apart because it was me who was getting asked questions day in, day out from the squad as the captain that I couldn't answer. So he was making it difficult for me. The way it went at the end, it could have been dealt with a lot better.
For Wednesday's absent fans, the nightmare was nearly over. Just 2 days on from the Middlesbrough game, they got the news they wanted.
One of Britain's oldest football clubs, Sheffield Wednesday, has gone into administration after...
With Wednesday unable to pay off their debts, control of the club transferred to administrators. Chansiri was gone, so were the seats bearing his name. The next few weeks brought the fans back to Hillsborough. They knew the club needed cash to make it through the season. The average spend in the club shop was £100 per customer, and the staff, who were being paid, were now free to speak out.
We've looked after each other, but it still took its toll on all of us, financially and mentally. We've had food parcels when they knew we weren't getting paid, just hugs, actually. Just people saying that they care about us.
But soon the realities of administration set in. The EFL punishment was a 12-point deduction. Another 6 soon followed. And the team of accountants who would choose the new owner had just one objective.
We need them to satisfy us that they can make the club viable. And they need to satisfy us that they will pass the EFL fit and proper test. But beyond there, it is really who makes the best offer, not necessarily who we think would be the best custodian for the club.
They hoped at first it could get done by January, but still unresolved, they needed sales in the window. Bannon left, with Wednesday cut adrift at the bottom, and the earliest relegation in EFL history was confirmed at Bramall Lane.
The relegation is painful. In the big picture, I'm very, very sure that the future will be bright for Sheffield Wednesday.
For Wednesday's fans, that week got worse.
A consortium led by Dunfermline owner James Board has pulled out of buying Sheffield Wednesday.
James Board's consortium had bid nearly £50 million for a club destined for League One. It was an overvaluation, and Wednesday need an owner with the funds to make big changes.
When you look at Sheffield Wednesday, it's a £100 million plus project. You've got player wages that need to be met, you've got the infrastructure requirements, you've got redevelopment of Hillsborough because it has lacked investment for a large period of time. Whoever buys Sheffield Wednesday, they have to really have long-term plans. That's probably upwards of 20 million per year.
My wish would be for the Leppings Lane end to be redeveloped for obvious reasons. That particular day will never be forgotten in football, but I do feel the club has an opportunity, once again with a new owner, of taking the club forward and leaving some of the history behind.
What do you think the rest of the football pyramid, the football authorities, need to learn from what's happened here at Wednesday?
I think there's a few lessons. I think it shows the importance and the need for a much stronger regulation, which we are now looking like we are going to get. Part of that lessons is about the need for that regulator, which they will have the powers to do, to take action much earlier. Sheffield Wednesday in this regard is not unique. If you can look at a vast many other number of proud English football clubs who found themselves in very, very similar circumstances, and we've got to stop that from happening again.
Here's the importance of the job. The job, if you is there for the fans of Sheffield Wednesday, it's the fans of Bury. I have absolute sympathy for the fans of Sheffield Wednesday, as indeed for all the other clubs that since 1992 have gone to the wall or been close to going to the wall for reasons that have nothing to do with the fans themselves. We will have powers to get involved, powers to investigate, and ultimately powers to take action.
Chansiri was banned from club ownership in England for 3 years. The BBC asked him to comment on claims made in this programme, but he did not respond to our request. Do you have any sympathy for him in terms of the global context, this being a post-pandemic world?
Not especially. My philosophy of how we should be running professional enterprises is that not necessarily that we're prepared for those massive economic shocks, but certainly that we should have business plans and strategies in place for the long-term financial sustainability of that football club.
The new preferred bidder is an American consortium led by businessman David Storch. His background is in the aviation industry before he founded an investment firm. Their offer, though, falls below the amount Wednesday's creditors are owed, so EFL rules mean a 15-point deduction is likely, and that would come in League One. For Storch, it's a dilemma. Spend more now on the bid to avoid the deduction, or save those funds to invest in the club's future.
This is a tremendous challenge, but the greatest asset you have is your fans and the history. You really have to be here to really appreciate the fan engagement, the excitement, and we felt it. The fans own this club. We will be the custodians, and we will be the partners of the fans as we look to restore the glory and bring hope back to all the fans.
Storch succeeding Chansiri also fits a wider trend. If the 2010s was the decade of East Asian investment, the 2020s has seen the rise of American owners.
There is a general view in the United States that European football is an immature commercial asset, that essentially there's more money to be made from football. But at the same time, American investors are being seduced in just the same way as East Asian and Southeast Asian investors were. And this isn't easy. It's a complex industry. You need to appreciate, for example, that fan culture in English football is very different to fan culture in the United States.
So Sheffield Wednesday needs from a new owner a strategy. I think one thing that Sheffield Wednesday has not had since the mid-1990s actually is a strategy for how it's going to rebuild. If you just focus on the pitch like Dave Chansiri did in the first couple of years without building the foundations of a modern football club, that it will ultimately become unstable.
Has it been challenging for your mental health the last 12 months?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I will say that. I will say that. In fact, I do go to church and I had a word with the minister. And I says to her, you might think I'm crazy, but Wednesday's getting me down. And she says, no, it's your life. She says, that's exactly what they do. Yeah, they get you down.
Supporting Sheffield Wednesday is not for the faint-hearted. This is a fan base that still believes they belong in the top flight. They'll start next season in August as a third-tier club again. The lessons from Chansiri are now being learned, not just here at Hillsborough, but across the football pyramid, because every fan at every ground knows it could just as easily be them.